Welcome to the Health Analytics Asia YouTube channel. We're an independent digital media organization based in New Delhi. Today, we'll be discussing the impact that COVID 19 has had on our children and parents. And with the help of a professional mental health counselor, we hope to aid parents with advice on how to care for their children during school closures and lockdown. I'm joined today by Ms. Renu Goyal. Renu is a child psychologist, special educator, and rehabilitation professional in New Delhi. She's the founder of Kidicious, which is a child psychological therapy clinic in New Delhi. Thank you for joining us today, Renu.
Thanks a lot, Anuja, for such a elaborative welcome.
Thank you. So I'm going to start the interview with pandemic reentry anxiety. This is a new word that's been added to our long list of COVID-19
Right,
vocabulary words.
right,
So, pandemic reentry anxiety has been defined as the stress that one can incur from, life suddenly returning back to normal after a long period of working from home, and kind of the stress and the anxiety that people might face going back into that fast-paced life that we had before the pandemic. This can be especially tough for parents who have, children of school going age or even younger. So could you elaborate a little bit on what kind of anxieties parents might face during this time, and also touch upon the experience of parents who have to return back to working because offices have started opening up for with 50% capacity. So for parents having to return back to normal life without having schools or childcare centers to back on. So what kind of challenges do you think parents might face, and how can they successfully integrate back into the fast-paced life?
okay. So the question you have asked me has multiple directions. So we'll go step by step. All right. So when we talk about the kids, how they go back to their normal life, they go to school. So first thing I would talk about the scheduling part. Okay, so there should be, from the today onwards, you can say, or from the beginning, as soon as you start scheduling your child, scheduling the timetable for your child. Don't think that their school starts at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, so they get up by 8 or 8:30. It's fine with them. So it's better you wake up them early by 6 or 6:30, and you ask them to refreshen up and take some kind of snacks and go to park if allowed, or otherwise they can do some exercise at home as well. And even parents can accompany them. So if they get proper schedule, then from transition from home to school is very much easier. Got it?
Right.
So first thing is that wake them early, and even parents has to do that as well, because I'm seeing lot of parents, they are you know running late out of time in the morning, right? So that's the foremost thing. And the second thing, whatever you do, children sees you. So I mean, whatever you model in front of your kids, they'll do whatever they see in front, right? So if you read books, they will read books. If you watch so much of TV, they'll watch so much of TV. Okay, so first you change your pattern, daily pattern, then they will change. Got it?
Right.
And for the smaller kids, yes, it's really difficult for them, because now if you see like IT sectors and all that, where uh, and most of the work for the working parents whose mother goes to usually go for the offices. So I think it's a biggest challenge if daycares are not open right now, so they can hire some help in that ways. But yes, it's a, and kids resilience power is so high, so they can easily transit. I don't think so it's a big challenge for them, because last year they were going to school, now they switch to online mode, so they can easily switch to. But the thing is that the morning routine should be there.
Right. So what I'm hearing from you is for parents who are currently in lockdown, try and
Hmm.
have a fixed schedule for your children, because
Right,
that makes the transition from home to school much easier for both
right,
children and parents who probably have to go into work.
right.
So what about organizations? What kind of organizational support can parents receive? I mean, do you think that employers should also take into account if the employee has a family to take care of, maybe allow them to work from home for a longer period of time? If, for example, if you have a spouse who's going into work, you might probably need someone to take care of the child, given that we can't rely on the traditional systems of having house help, or like we mentioned, daycare, or even relatives, aged relatives. Is probably risky for them to travel
Hmm.
at this point of time. So do you think organizations should probably relax and have a more flexible sort of arrangement for employers who have young children at home?
Yes, definitely they should do that. Even I'm seeing lot of organizations are already doing that,
Right.
so they can definitely do that for some shifts change or something like that.
Right. So I just want to focus a little bit more on children returning back to school. Like you said, children are more likely to transition easily, and they have taken to online learning pretty well, at least for those who have access to those means.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm assuming that this pandemic has also been a period of deep isolation for them, and they're probably really looking back. I mean, looking forward to going back to school and having that kind of interaction with their friends and classmates. Uh,
Right.
Especially for children of younger age groups, it is a huge challenge to communicate the health risks involved. Going back to school, social distancing, hygiene practices, and although we've seen that in countries that have opened up schools, there have been very strict measures, but in more populated countries, this could be a huge challenge for teachers to manage, or for the school alone to manage a classroom of children, and to make sure that they're all socially distancing themselves and um, sanitizing their hands and things like that, which can be extremely difficult for younger children. So, how do you think parents should communicate or inculcate some of these practices, for their children, so that it's kind of ingrained in them when they go back to school?
All right. So as I said earlier, ki whatever the parents do, the children will do definitely. So first thing is modeling. If they see their parents are doing the same practices, then they can follow that. All right. And second, they think they can do some role plays. They can show some videos as well to the kids. Okay. And they can even, most of the schools are doing and doing some mock drills as well in the classroom setup, online classroom setup. So even parents can do some group, group discussions, group role plays at home setting as well.
So at this point, I'd like to bring in a parent. So I'd like to bring in Taimina. Uh, so Taimina is a mother of two, and she's based in New Delhi. Taimina, thanks a lot for joining us. It's really nice to hear from parents directly.
Thank you
So
for
could
having me
you,
over.
yeah, could you tell us about your experience with your children during this pandemic, and what are some of the challenges you faced? And if you have a question that you'd like to ask Renu, we'd like for you to do that.
I faced as a parent was overindulgence into electronics, first of all. And then, secondly, I mean, since my children are smaller, they are like 3 and 6, they did not know how to tell me what they were facing. I mean, that anxiety had no words. I mean, they couldn't tell me I'm feeling anxious. I mean, I had all sorts of tantrums. My kids used to just be aggressive. I mean, there were episodes of crying for like half an hour before every meal. If I had to really persuade them for sitting in front of the laptop so that they could attend their 3 hour session, I mean, online session of the school. My son did not, for even a single second, enjoyed the online classes. I mean, he said, "What is this? I don't want to be there. I don't want to be a part of 50 students where the teacher can't even see me. I mean, she does not give me a chance to speak. Obviously, that's not teachers' fault. I mean, there has to be, I mean, obviously they're doing what they could do. I mean, and as a parent, we are doing what we could do. But obviously, the child has been deprived of that one-to-one attention. And it's not just face-to-face contact. Is that, you know, that when the kids are younger, they would like to hug their teachers. They would like to play with their friends. They would like to be, you know, jumping around the class, enjoying, and not just reading and writing. I mean, they want to have fun. Whereas here on an online session of like 3 hours, it was just study, study, and more study, and more videos, and more study.
And did you have to proactively censor the news around coronavirus,
Well,
especially
not
given?
the news, but the
Okay.
YouTube, yes. I mean, obviously, he's not too much into news. And whenever, I mean, to be honest, even as a parent, even as adults, I hated hearing all that negative news. It had
Right.
such a havoc on our family. I mean, I just hated all that, you know, that the cases have increased. I mean, we hear it on and off, but not completely keeping track of it. So he does not know so much about what's happening in the world, but he knows that yes, this is what it is. And when it comes to censorship, it is about the YouTube videos.
Hmm.
When he sees it in ads, and you know, when you have to skip an ad, he knows there's something on, something of that sort. And even the video content has, you know, obviously the children have access to every gadget, as you said.
Right.
And I can't be physically present with him all the time to see what he's looking at.
Right.
That sort of thing has to be there. But news, I mean, we never allowed him to watch in the first place.
Okay. Yeah, I just like to bring in Renu there because I can only imagine. I mean, it's been so hard for us as well, you know. Just any adult out there has had to see these images of dead bodies, people in hospitals, of grief all around us. So, how should parents navigate that? I mean, you cannot completely censor information, but at the same time, you want to protect your child, you know, and especially given that this has been extremely, this has been a prolonged period for adults, and we don't know how long kids will be indoors now. With we don't know anything about schools reopening. So, how can parents? Do you have any tips around how you can go about protecting children from the kind of news coverage that we see on coronavirus?
We need information, right? But we need a good information, not every information. Okay, so you can fix up a time like in half an hour time to see the news, to watch the news. And in that time you can ask your kids to stay away. Don't tell them that I'm watching news, that you have to stay away from here, but you can ask your child to do some hobby thing. Okay, and even for the scheduling, you see the hobbies of your child, okay, of your children. If they are interested in doing like artwork, so it's good. Don't worry about their anxieties. If they are indulging in some kind of activity, whatever they are liking, maybe music, maybe art, maybe anything, or so, they can definitely spend their time in that. And uh, I don't think so there would be lot of problem if you schedule their time. So whatever they like in the whole day, you just discuss. All right. So in that ways, they see kid, yes, world is good and everything is going fine.
Okay, I think an important point that Tamina brought up as she was talking about her experience is uh, trying to find out how the child is expressing oneself, right? Because children are not might not be very expressive. Maybe they're feeling a lot of anxiety inside, but are unable to communicate it for whatever reason. Do you have any advice around that? For what kind of signs should parents look
Yeah.
out for, especially if you have a child who's very introverted or very shy and not very expressive?
Right. So the one thing is, whatever the Tamina is doing is through arts. Art is a wonderful source of medium to express any kind of emotion.
Tamina, from your personal experience, do you have any advice for other parents on how to really look out for these signs of how a child is expressing themselves?
Would tell them is just chill, to be honest. I mean, don't create such a pressure in the house. First of all, just go with the flow. It is new for all of us. This has been an unprecedented time for all of us. I mean, kids obviously they're fragile and they're so naive, they don't know what to do. But at the same time, we as an adult, and as Renu said, they model us, they look at us. If we are being anxious and if we are being like in that state of mind all the time, the kids are definitely going to mimic that. So we need to relax as a family and take things, even there are joys in little things like eating a meal together, ordering things from outside. We're still able to get toys. Even if you're not able to go out to a toy store, which is okay, but you still can buy toys online. You still can have a new toy, which is okay. You can't go out and have a cake or have an ice cream, but you can still order it. I mean, what I always do is I always do a pretend, whereas like I'm being the chef and they're being the customer. So we prepare food together. So it's like, hi, welcome to McDonald's. What do you want for today? So that's like a thing. Whereas I have a happy meal already ordered at home and I can offer them that, so that they feel happy in that way, that there's something, they look forward to that. And
Right.
the other thing that I have started doing recently, and that was after watching a YouTube channel, it was every night before we go to sleep, just tell me 2 things that you really enjoy, that you've been grateful for today. And I can't tell you, that has created such a positive effect on my children, that they know what gratitude is. We've been safe. That the biggest gratitude. We've been safe. No matter we are stuck, but we are safe. We're safe from all that with what's happening outside. We have a house, we have a job, we have books, we have food, we have so many things, we have good health above all. So all of that, I mean, to have a positive mindset, I know it is hard. I know it's next to impossible to have this state of mind at this time, but it is still, I mean, if you try to put in effort into little things, like what I do is I don't care if the house is dirty. Previously it has to be spick and span, but now I don't care, because nobody's going to come. I mean, we have no guests, so it doesn't matter. It's my kids' house. As long as they're happy, I don't mind if even if my furniture has to be moved wherever. My coffee table, I don't know where my coffee table is, but as long as my kids have access to the whole room, they can play, they can jump around, it's fine with me. That's what I do. I mean, I just go by my kids.
Right. So keeping the environment
It's
positive and light.
it's free. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I have created a play. I don't know what to say. It's a playground sort of a thing in my living room. I don't have a living room round. It's a playground. I mean, we've kept big mattresses on the floor. They can jump. They can do whatever. We've got a pretend house using pillows and all of that. It's their house now.
Right.
I mean, we don't have a place. That's a different thing, but they enjoy it.
Right.
So pretend place is something that I think they really enjoy.
Right.
And a sense of gratitude, whatever it is. We ordered an ice cream today, we finished a book, we made a painting. Okay, even a small acknowledgement. I mean, there was a thing that my son was telling me he doesn't want to attend a class. So that also he expresses a gratitude. Mama did not make me attend the class today. So he was happy about that.
Right.
It was a little thing that I think would make a difference.
Yeah. No, like you said, I think social contact has been, the biggest challenge that children have faced, because like you said, he was just, craving some sort of social contact. Children want to be close to their friends, their teachers. They want that kind of human connect, which you don't get from online classes. And that's perhaps the strongest argument for reopening schools at this point of time. So, as a parent, what are your anxieties about schools reopening? What kind of, challenges do you think you're going to face as a parent when schools reopen?
I don't think I'm at a stage where I'm comfortable enough to send my kids, to be honest.
Right.
And I think I would keep, and I wouldn't mind opting for an option called homeschooling. I would happily homeschool them. And the past year and a half, I think academically has been challenging, because I don't see my son learning as much, to be honest, because obviously the attention has shifted from obviously, having a one-to-one relation versus attending 50 children at a time. So that has varied, and that has led to a lot of attention spans. I mean, my son will not sit, attentively in the class for more than 10 minutes, and have to be physically on his head to make him attend the class. I mean, he will not do it if I leave him on his own. So that is there. The other thing, I think, I mean, I don't know how will I finally react if the schools do decide to open up tomorrow, but I think at this stage, no, it's my child's safety first. I mean, as long as there are vaccinations, it would be okay. Then maybe if kids do get vaccinated eventually, then yes. But at this stage, just because they're so young, I mean, they will not, I know they will not for sure know that they have to be away from their friends and they have to be away from their teachers, they have to be away from their leaders, all of that in the school. They don't understand that. I mean, they would love to have all of them around. To keep them away from them in the same class will be a challenge. So,
Yeah, that's definitely. Renu, I mean, I think that again is another challenge, right? It really depends on how old your child is and what is the kind of effect that this is going to have. If your child is probably higher grades, maybe approaching a board exam, then the stakes could be higher if you're not able to learn at the same pace or keep up that kind of momentum. So is this a challenge that you've seen parents facing during this time? How can they effectively homeschool their children of school going age?
Yeah, it's a biggest challenge, and homeschooling is not possible for every parent. For parents who are working, for parents who are not that educated, it's not a good thing for every parent. And India has a diverse population, so let's see. Uh, because as the time goes, maybe this would definitely overcome, and they can hire some teachers or tutors at home, or maybe online tutors later on. But this is definitely our biggest challenge.
Right. So in terms of school reopening, it seems like the most sensible approach would be to do this in a phased manner. Maybe, reopen schools for 50% capacity. We've seen some schools doing that where, you have a roster where, some kids come in on some day and they kind of alternate between these days. Maybe also phasing it in by grade because obviously older children are going to be able to understand how to socially distance themselves and try and focus on groups that will be affected with school closure. Do you think that that is a sensible way to move forward?
Definitely, in a phases manner, it would be a good option. And I don't recommend that whenever the situation is in definitely in control, the school should open on that time only. I don't recommend it should open right away.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, the next topic that I want to touch upon is grief counseling. We have spoken to a few schools that are now considering hiring a grief counselor to specifically help parents go through, loss and also to communicate this kind of loss to their children. Could you elaborate a little bit more on how children process grief? You can maybe touch upon young children versus slightly older children, probably adolescents. And do you think this is something that schools should consider? And if not grief counseling, maybe other forms of counseling, especially now that everything is remote. So do you think schools should have counselors calling up parents to check in with them? Or how do you see counseling sort of getting mainstreamed into the school system?
Okay. Grief counseling is a very big topic, and definitely, school should have some grief counselors or trained psychologists in their schools, or definitely for the online sessions. But one thing school can do, they can, do a survey form, maybe bi-monthly or in 2 months. So in that ways, they can understand the anxieties of every child as from the parents' perspectives. So in that ways, they can, they can have some kind of a group sessions as well, or some counseling sessions as well, right? So definitely grief counseling should be there, because mostly children, there's so many children who lost their parents or maybe grandparents or maybe near family members. So grief counseling is really really important, but school should monitor who whosoever needs that grief counseling or PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder.
Right. So before we end this session, I just wanted Renu, if you could tell us about one, what is the main takeaway here? What do you think has changed in terms of mental health awareness, especially for children during the pandemic. And if you could quickly touch upon your own work as a mental health counselor and what kind of challenges have you faced?
So the first and foremost challenge I faced during my practice is that I was not able to take the offline sessions. That's the major challenge. So on online session, I was not able to see the expressions. I can't observe the child very clearly, and even the children are not very much, tax savvy, and that's the major challenge. They don't want to sit in front of the laptop or mobile phone to talk to a stranger. So it was the biggest challenge to counsel the child. And we do some awareness programs with the parents and with the schools as well, relating to mental health as an organization. And yes, I'm definitely one. And major challenge comes with the special kids as well, who are not going for the therapy sessions regularly, especially with the ADHD kids or special needs like learning disability or mental retardation. That's the biggest challenge for the children and for the parents as well. So online sessions are not working that much for them.
And overall, how do you think this pandemic has affected mental health for children? Do you see any long-term changes in the way we treat mental illnesses going forward?
See, I can't tell you the long-term changes right away because pandemic still going on. So I can tell you the long-term way in after the pandemic only. So obviously anxieties are there in the kids, aggression has increased, and their learning issues as well. And the children who are performing very well earlier, but they are not doing very well right now. So learning is the major challenge. So yes, we need to work hard for them, maybe later, but I can't tell you about the long term changes right away.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us, Renu. And this was, really insightful. So thanks a lot for your time. Thanks a lot for sharing your experiences, Tamina. It was just really nice to have a parent on this call. The resources for helping you with your own mental health and the mental health of your children will be linked to this video. If you enjoyed the video, do subscribe to our YouTube channel. You may also visit our website, www.ha-asia.com. Thank you for joining us today.